Hey guys, welcome back to Ironside Ranch, and I apologize for the road noise. Like I said, I know we're back in the car again today, and so it's kind of hard to for us to get videos out right now. I'm trying to get as much content to you guys as possible, and we're actually getting ready to start another channel too. So it's just getting a little bit overwhelming, but what I want to talk to you about is getting your money out of the bank. And what do we mean by getting your money out of the bank? Does that mean having a safe in your house that holds $100,000? Well, if your net worth is $100,000, definitely not, right? That would be foolish. As we had a friend of ours got their house broken into the other day and lost a lot of money, and that's because they had so much cash in their safe. It's like, what are you doing? Like putting that much cash in a safe? It's not a bank vault. You know, it's a $900 safe in Tractor Supply. Like, that's a dumb idea. Those, you know, if you have a $900 safe, you shouldn't have much more than you know, $10,000-$20,000 worth of stuff in it. And so you want to make sure that you're getting your money out of the banks, but that you're putting it in a way that your money is secured. And when I say get your money out of the banks, one of the options there is putting money in credit unions. And the reason that I like credit unions is because they're local, and so you usually have a cell phone number or somebody that you can call over there and say, hey, having this issue, can you help me? And they'll get it fixed. Two, they're member owned, right? So there's a whole different schematic of them because they're operated as a nonprofit, and so you are actually a shareholder there. So they'll have things come around periodically where you get to vote. So the credit unions have a lot more incentive to treat you better. That's why I like credit unions. Now let me give you a for instance here and tell you what happened to us. What happened to us is we went to pay our mortgage one time, and our mortgage is being held by a different company than our bank. And we went to pay our mortgage, and the mortgage declined the payment. So spent 30 minutes on the phone with the mortgage company trying to figure out what the hell was going on, why they declined the payment. There's plenty of money in the account. What's going on? And they declined the payment, saying that the bank denied the payment. So they said, this happens at the time, clerical error, just resubmit the payment. Well, mind you, this charged me $75 in fees when they did this, and which you can't hardly fight. Anyways, so I said, okay, whatever, resubmit the payment, denies again, $75 in fees. So this time I spent another 30 minutes on the phone with customer service trying to figure out what's going on. They said, oh, there's a block on your account. We'll remove the block, resubmit the payment, and we'll do it again. It's like, why was there a block on my account? Well, come to find out, the reason the block was on the account is because the payment was denied twice for some reason. And anyways, they denied the payment again for a third time. So the next time I call back, I get the bank on the phone with the mortgage company, and this was kind of a fun conversation because they both have to read the exact same disclaimer over and over again. It was kind of irritating, but anyways, so we get everybody on the line, and both sides say, well, the bank says we can't see a transaction even coming through, like we can't see that you requested money. And the mortgage company is saying, well, y'all are denying the payment every time we send it through. So I'm like, well, I don't really care who's at fault here. I just want y'all to fix it. I should be able to pay my mortgage. I just want to pay my money, and it seems like all y'all care about is collecting fees. And I was really frustrated about this. And then you find out what a big industry fee collection is for the banks, and you realize that is a lot of what's going on here. They create these rules to make it harder for you to use your money, and then they collect money in fees. So anyways, the bank and the mortgage company spend an hour on the phone, and they sort this all out. And so we think we're good. So we submit the payment again. Boom, denied for the fourth time now. So at this point in time, you know, I'm kind of like, what in the hell is going on? All I want to do is pay my mortgage. So I call the guy that we had refinanced through, and I was like, hey, can you help here? You know, being a third party, do you have like a customer service line, customer support line that you can get on with and figure out what is going on? And he says, well, I can certainly help, and thinks that he can probably get this issue fixed. But he said, you know, we're coming up on you now, going to be 30 days late, which means that this is going to hit your credit report. So he said, I'm going to write a check and pay your mortgage, and I'll take care of this. Which, by the way, I asked them about writing a check, and they said the check is processed the exact same way as an online payment. So because I told them I'd just write them a check and pay the mortgage, and then we'll figure out what this issue is. and they said you can't do that. It's processed the same way because it's just an account number and routing number, and they said it'll decline the payment as well. So like, okay, so I can't even write you guys a check. So Andy, the mortgage guy, says, I'll pay it, you just write me a check and we'll go to lunch tomorrow and take care of it. So real blessing to have a mortgage company like that. So by the way, if y'all are in Birmingham and looking for a mortgage company, Galliana Mortgage is phenomenal. Anyway, so Andy does this and helps me out. He writes a personal check and then lets me pay him back the next day. And not a business check, mind you. He wrote me from his personal checking account and took care of it. So, okay, guy's awesome. So we get this taken care of, and we're still working through this banking issue, trying to figure this out. Well, I didn't submit the payment anymore, and I told him I'm done submitting the payment until you can guarantee me that this is going through. And nobody wanted to guarantee, because I was like, I'm not paying $75 in fees. And they're like, well, if it's not your fault, we'll waive the fees. I was like, it is not my fault. I'm not calling the bank and putting a stop payment on, but I know y'all are going to blame me, and I'm going to end up right now, I had like $250 in fees. And I said, I'm not submitting this payment again until you can tell me what the problem was and how you've addressed it. So I spent another couple hours on the phone with both of them at the same time trying to figure this out, and then the bank separately. And then it occurred to me, when they refinanced, one of the things that happened is the bank actually continued to auto draft. Now I canceled the auto draft, but the bank continued to auto draft the payment. So I had to get that payment back. And they put a stop payment on that when they did it. And when they put that stop payment, they put a lock on my account. But they had to ask for my approval to put that lock on the account for that stop payment. So I gave them approval for that stop payment. But they said the stop payment counts for every payment going forward to that same person until I authorize it to be released. But the interesting thing is I asked them several times if there were holds on this account during this whole process, and they said no. So they wouldn't tell me that there was a stop payment on there. They wouldn't tell me that it was a continuing stop payment, and I didn't give approval for a continuing stop payment. But they still told me, because it was my decision, I had to pay the $250 in fees, and that they weren't going to waive them. So, talk about a scam, right? Anyways, this is the reason to get your money out of the banks. Now, mind you, this just happened after we had a fraud issue. So we had a fraud issue on our account, and that fraud issue was maybe 2 months before we refinanced, where our card was stolen, right? Not a big deal. This happens. You cancel the card and they give you your money back. It's not a big problem. Banks are usually pretty good. But when that happened, it was at Christmas time. And in December, the average wait time for a phone call to get on with a representative was 3 hours. But I can do all the fraud stuff online. So I did the fraud stuff online. It was fine, no big deal. But they locked every single one of my accounts. Now, you want to talk about embarrassing? Have a check to your babysitter bounce because all your accounts have been locked. They locked every single account that I had. And a $60 check to our babysitter bounced, so we had to pay her. I paid her actually a bonus, and then we paid her I had to pay her the stop payment fee because she got charged like $25 by her bank. So a $60 bill to our babysitter ended up turning into a $120 bill. So anyways, and I had to spend 3 hours. I put my earbuds in and just went to work, and I waited on the phone for 3 hours to get to a representative. It was 2 hours. I remember this. It was 2 hours and 54 minutes of when I spent on the phone with them, waiting to get a representative just to get access to all my accounts. For some reason, the fraud department locked all the accounts. They never could explain to me why they locked them all instead of just the one that had the fraud issue. But everything, I couldn't use any of my accounts anymore. During Christmas, when we're trying to buy Christmas gifts, Christmas parties, and all this crap. And so this was just like 2 months after this. So at this point in time, Amanda and I said, you know what, screw this crap, we're done with it. And we started looking into the credit unions. And from that point on, we've been with credit unions. And we still have a big mega bank checking account with our personal stuff. And so that way we have, ability for like international and stuff like that. And when we're traveling, it's not as big an issue. But we did open up several credit union accounts, and we put the majority of our money with a credit union. And now we're actually in the process of following kind of the economic ninja advice, where we open up multiple banks for everything, and so that we can have money in all these different areas for our business, for our personal, and so that way, if any one of them is kind of hammered, we still have access to at least some money. And so that's what we're looking at. So when I say get your money out of the banks, that's one option. Another option is cryptocurrency, gold, silver. Actually having gold, if you have a lot of gold and silver, you need to have it vaulted, and so that you have and you define what a lot is based on your net worth. If your net worth is high enough that you can afford to lose $100,000, then you know what's the big deal of having 20 gold coins in your safe? Probably got a pretty hefty safe anyways. That's hard to get into. So, but if your safe is a $900 safe from Tractor Supply, you probably don't want $100,000 or even $40,000 of gold sitting in it. That would be foolish. Okay, so bottom line is that it'd be a much better option to have it vaulted. But when we say get your money out of the banks, that's what we're talking about. Get your money diversified so that you have access to it, and that you have money sitting in multiple streams that you can get to at any point in time, because it's going to happen where you're going to have these issues pop up, right? You think that you're a one-off, that it only happens to you. Guys, these things happen to everybody, and the banks make a lot of money on fees on this crap. So get your money in with credit unions. That doesn't mean that you get rid of the big mega banks. You still have to have them, especially if you're doing anything international or even over state lines. The credit unions are a little bit harder to deal with. I know they have sister branches and you can do some stuff with it, but it gets harder to deal with. So, but credit unions, as far as having your local banking and everything set up with credit unions, it's a great option and definitely something you want to look at. So, guys, I'm going to let you go with that, but I just want to tell you that little story so that you know. Get your money out of the banks. Things are getting worse. You protect yourself from bail-ins, and which we know are coming. Which banks are going to bail in, which ones aren't, is anybody's guess. So get your money out of there. I will tell you that credit unions are going to be a lot less likely to do a bail-in. Doesn't mean they can't do it, but it means they're a lot less likely to do it. And if you're relying on FDIC insurance, or what are credit unions? Credit unions is not FDIC, it's something else. I can't remember now what it is. But it's the same thing. It's a government-backed insurance thing for them. If you're relying on that to pay you, guys, there are so many loopholes in there where they can get out of paying you for your stuff. You know, you put it in a money market account thinking that it works effectively like a savings account. Well, then it's an investment account. It's not FDIC insured, right? So there's all this different crap going on with there. And by the way, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm just telling you from my experience and from my understanding of how this stuff is written. But there is a lot of ways that they can get out of this crap. So I'll let y'all go. Really appreciate y'all watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so, and we will catch y'all probably tomorrow.